Today we're going to be going through ozone vaginal insufflation. So we're going to discuss the equipment that's actually needed, the devices here that we're going to be talking about in a moment. We have our generator, our tank, our regulator, everything here is set up. But you may be asking what this is specifically used for. Vaginal insufflation is typically used for by women dealing with things like STDs, so gonorrhea, chlamydia. There's also things like PCOS, endometriosis, dryness. Also, there's been some cases of women using this for helping out with infertility. So there's a lot of different reasons to utilize this. There's a tremendous amount of research out there that you can go look at. For protocols specifically on this, which we'll be going through a little bit of that, but the majority of those are going to be in the link below, so make sure that you check out for frequency, dosing, and everything there. What we're going to be talking about in this video is ozone therapy, but I want to make a disclaimer first and foremost that this is not an FDA approved therapy. You always want to speak with your physician first before starting any new therapies, and these treatments and these modalities and therapies are not here to treat, cure, or prevent any sort of disease. The information that we're providing today is for educational purposes only. So to get started, what we really want to look at here is what pieces do we actually need for this? This is actually the insertion piece. So this was designed specifically by a woman, for women. It's a silicone base, so it actually can take on that ozone, but this actually is going to be inserted. If you look at it from the side, you're going to see that there's a center port and then a top port. This is where the ozone is actually going to be going in and going to come out of the holes here. There's a little hole in the front here, and that's where there's going to be export that's going to go to the destruct right here. So you need tubing that's going to connect directly from the generator on the ozone output here. That will go into this input, and then you will have the export with the tubing here that's going to go directly into the destruct. So let's set that up. So first thing that we want to do is we want to actually take the tubing without the screw on the end of it and put it right into the center port. So we will add that on, and then we will screw this directly into the generator on the ozone output. Once we have that, we're going to again take the end of the tubing that does not have the screw end, and you're going to put it onto the destruct portion. So again, looking at this, you have that center tubing. Make sure that the center tubing right here goes directly into the generator, and then you have your destruct line that comes out. You will actually grab your destruct. Again, this is a carbon filter so that anything that is coming out is actually going to be going into the destruct, so that extra ozone can be converted directly into oxygen. And this piece goes directly into the destruct and it screws on right there. Now, there have been some cases utilizing vaginal insufflation where we have had people say that it smells like ozone in the room because there is going to be some leakage coming out. Not all of it's going to go through here directly in destruct. Just make sure that you're in a well-ventilated room, that maybe there's a fan on, but you will be okay. So this is the insertion port. We are all hooked up. So the next thing that you'll actually be doing is looking at those protocols again that are below on the frequency and dosage. For this, what we'd be doing is I'm going to set this at a setting 7 at 33 gamma. So we go over to our regulator. We make sure that the tank is turned on. And so we will open up the tank. We turn this over to 7. And once we are at 7, we know that right now we just have oxygen flowing. The generator is not on, so there is no ozone actually coming out of this. This will be inserted. Once it's inserted, then you would come and you would actually turn on the generator. That generator turning on, now you have ozone coming out of the output directly into the device, which is then going into you. And then any excess is going to go directly into the destruct, again, converting any extra ozone directly back into oxygen. Once you're done with your treatment, and again, those protocols are below, so for the time frame and the dosage and the frequency, what you want to do is you want to actually turn the device off. So you're going to turn the generator off. Next thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you come and turn the regulator off. So we're going to set that to 0. Now those are both off. My next recommendation would just be to disconnect this tubing. Once that's disconnected, you are done. You then want to take your insertion device and go clean that. You can clean it with soap and water. It's a silicone base. It's not going to get hurt. You could also rub peroxide over it to actually clean that as well. Let it dry and you'll be ready for the next treatment. Vaginal ozone insufflation is a systemic treatment. Now, looking at the research and what's out there, it probably doesn't have the same amount of a systemic effect as rectal insufflation or even IV ozone insufflation, but there is going to be a systemic effect with vaginal insufflation.